Hi you guys, this is Allison hanging out in my space to craft, and I just finished a Western themed scrapbook layout, 2-page layout using this set of paper. This is one of them. This is another. I just cut in to get some plain paper from the top of it. I did not use this embellishment area at the bottom. It's time to make a card. So I have the card bases that my friend gifted me that she got from an estate sale, and they're kind of a dark craft color, and I think that's awesome with this paper set. And this will be a card that can be masculine or whatever. I don't know what the sentiment is going to be yet. I will figure that out. But I think what I'm going to start with is a matte. It's going to be tight, but I'm going to do a matte out of this pumpkin color. As you can tell, I've used it to cut a pumpkin before. And then I do love the stripes, so I want to be sure to incorporate the stripes, but I also really like this embellishment, and it's a good size, I think, to fit on here. So I'm going to cut this, and then I think I'll put the stripes across the top, and then I'll have room for the embellishment on the bottom. And it's just going to be a simple card. So most of the rest of this video is sped up until the end, per my usual format. So here I'm just measuring, double checking the measurements, and cutting a matte out of this pumpkin color. And I will also use the matte for the stripe when I get to that part. So I end up just taking the bottom of this paper, the fanciest part, if you will, the most decorative part. And I am really pleased with the way it comes out. I don't remember if I decided to ink it or not. But even though it's got all these flourishes on it, it's still, because of the coloring and stuff, it still comes out as a relatively masculine card. Now I have this piece of pumpkin, and I'm going to start out with it sort of as wide as I can go, because I don't want to be too aggressive. But I do end up trimming it again because I wanted, frankly, I wanted more of the decorative elements of the paper to show. So I start out with it the widest that I could fit on that piece of scrap. And then I end up thinking that's just, it's too bulky. So we're going to trim it down a bit. So I trim that on the big trimmer to 7 inches first so that it will fit in my little guillotine trimmer, because when you're just trying to trim off a bit, the guillotine's a little bit easier, but it can't be more than 7 inches without causing issues. So here I'm just looking at it, and I'm trying to figure out how much do I want it. So here you can see that card is 6.5 inches. I had thought it was 5 by 7, but it's 6.5. I think the envelope is probably 5 by 7. The label said 5 by 7, but it wasn't. So I lay this down first and then trim it. Make a little adjust. Oh yeah, I do ink it actually. And so at first I think I'm going to have it extend the full length, but I do make another little length adjustment on it once it's on the card. So one more little trimming adjustment. I do that a lot. I'll do something and just a lot of small trimming. That's probably why it takes me so long to do pages and cards. And I don't tend to use really a set formula for a lot of stuff. I do often like just the base like this, and then a strip. It's a good way to show off two pieces of paper, but I have some other ideas in mind. I'd like to do a little trifold card as well. So I'm just looking at this and thinking, I didn't love it without matte showing on the ends of the card. So I think make another small adjustment to that. So when I put that on the card base, I'm not happy with it. And so that's what I'm going to trim. And I'm just going to use my scissors and hand trim it. And then re-ink it. And it comes out fine. And then it looks much more finished. It just looked, for some reason, unfinished. So I'm happier with that. And now I need to think about the sentiment. And I decide to pull out that vellum that I only used for that journaling box on the page layout. And I pull out my More All Occasions, I think it's called, from May Made It. And there's a congratulations stamp on there that's nice and long, and so I think it'll look good on that strip. So first time I've used that one, so I do rub it with my hand to sort of condition it. And I am just using my oxide ink, but it stamps fine on the vellum. The only issue is it takes a while to dry on the vellum. So I will go off and use my dryer on it, and then I also, after that, I blot it with a scrap piece of paper just to make sure it's not going to smudge or anything. So ready to assemble. So I'm just, and here I think I show you where I blot it. I just blot it. It was mostly dry by that point. And now I'm going to use a die to cut it into kind of a little bit of a ticket shape. I think it goes with the feel of the paper. So there it is, cut, and then I pull out my brads and decide it needs a little something, and rather than using my adhesive to attach it, I'm going to use 4 brads. And again, goes with the look of the paper and that more masculine look. So I go through a little process to try and measure and get those where the brads are going to go in the right place. It didn't work great. I think maybe the die was not even on both sides, because no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get them to the same spot. Of course, here it looks like I'm not lined up evenly. So I think I end up, in the end, I do use the ruler for some of it, and then I just eyeball it. There's nothing worse than an off-kilter brad, though. But I do get these lined up okay. Just trying to give myself a target with the hole punch. So I'm doing it a little bit like a belt across this strip. And I like the look of that. And I decide to go ahead and insert 2 brads before I hole punch the other side so that it's being held in place and it won't slip. And I think we're going to do final assembly. I think I end up popping this whole thing up, maybe. Yep. Making sure those brads are not sticking out. Just to give the card a little dimension. So I'm not going to add bling to the card or anything like that because I think it's going to be for a masculine card. Okay. So, a simple card. Use some brads so I didn't have to use adhesive that would show under the vellum. Thanks, you guys.